Welcome everybody to this virtual session of TTS Level 2. In this session, we will be learning about DIGPA. We will review what DIGPA is and we will have some more examples for you to practice. For this, we will have two amazing trainers that will share their knowledge and experience with us. First, let's introduce Elizabeth Giselle Guzman Lopez. She has been in the Access, SEAL, TAC, SIT, BPT, SOL, and ITOT certification. She also studied PEM and she has worked in the SEAL program, in the Access program, and currently she is a trainer in the TTS program. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. Hope we can learn a lot during this session.
Welcome. Thank you for sharing with us. Also, we have the honor of having Sara Maria Gal. She was also in the Access, SEAL, TAC, SIT, BPT, SOL, and ITOT certification. She has also worked in some local schools. She has worked in the Access program, in the SEAL program, and currently she is working as a trainer in the TTS program. Welcome, Sara.
Danny, hello everyone. It's nice and it's a pleasure to be here with you sharing this new tool for your studies.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. So let's learn about DIGPA. First, let's review what we are going to learn today. What are the goals of this session?
So today we will recall the DIGPA stages cycle.
We are going to give an example of how DIGPA cycle is done.
And analyze a specific part of a lesson to complete the DIGPA cycle.
All right. So to all our viewers, do you remember what DIGPA stands for? Let's start by there. What does DIGPA stands for, Elizabeth?
Sure. We have the D for description.
We have I for interpretation.
We have the G for generalization.
And the last one is plan action.
Awesome. Very good. Now, in each stage, we can have like different questions for us to do the reflection, right? What are some questions that we can have, for example, in the description stage?
So when we're writing description, we need to write based on these questions, like what happened, what did the students do, who exactly did or didn't, how many, how long, and when, what exactly did the teacher or didn't the teacher do, what materials were there, how were students arranged, and what else was happening in the environment or the situation. So remember, here in the description, we have to write a detailed report of what happened during the activity.
And when we are writing this report, we can include our feelings and like what we think about this situation.
No, we avoid writing feelings. So we want like only have the correct description of what was happening in the activity. So we do not write the feelings and the opinion that we have.
Okay. We have to remember specifically what happened and not create theories, right?
Exactly.
Very good. Thank you. Let's go to the next stage, which is the interpretation stage. What questions can we have here to help us?
For the interpretation stage, we have why might that have happened? What are other possible reasons? How do you think that help or hinder students' learning or participation in this class? So basically with interpretation, you are going to write what you can interpret from your description, from the specific activity or the specific moment you choose in your lesson. So you can write down based on that what you interpret, right?
All right, so here we can include, I think, sentences, right? Like personal thoughts.
Yes, personal thoughts, what you think your activity worked or didn't work. So you can write them here.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the next stage, which is the generalization. What questions can help us?
During the generalization, you can write based on these questions, like how do you think the activity helps or hinder students' learning in general? Based on this experience, what theories about learning can you make? What do you believe about it? And what have you read or heard about? How is this similar to your prior experiences? When you're generalizing, you have to have a background or think about some theories or some literature that you have read about what happened in your activity.
Very good. So here we cannot use, I think, sentences, right? These are not personal thoughts anymore.
No, you have to, based on this theory, I have learned that this and this happened with the students because this and this. So you have to base your what you're writing on some theories or some literature.
So here we can recall more information that we have learned in other experiences or other people.
Yes.
Nice, thank you. The last stage, plan of action. What questions can help us?
Okay, for plan action, which is the last but not the least step from the cycle, you
Next.
can have what would you do differently if you were to do this lesson again? Would you keep the same? What guidelines can you make for yourself in future lessons? So basically, in plan action, you are going to, based on the rest of the cycle you've been doing, description, interpretation, generalization, you are going to plan something that you are going to improve for next class. So as you can see here in the question, you can write what you will keep the same. And of course, if that is something you believe it was something good, you will keep on doing it. And also because that's something positive, right? So when it's something maybe not negative but didn't work as you expected, then you're going to write something so you can improve for next class. So basically, all of this process is for you to improve. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, you will give your action plans or you will do it the next time in your next lesson as you plan here. So basically this cycle is for you to improve, to get better with your lessons and your students too.
That's something very good to remember, that sometimes we do DIGPA and we only try to see what we did bad, but sometimes we do good things and we have to repeat them. Thank you. I have another question.
Sure.
How many action plans should we have at the end? Like, we should have like a lot of action plans, or
you can have as many as you wish, but let's be honest, we can write many things that we would like to do in the next class and this and that, but sometimes we don't have time, or when we plan we don't usually do it. So I will suggest for you to have 1 or 2 plans for the next class, and you make sure and you focus that you are going to do those 2 instead of having 5 or 6 and then you do not do any of those ones, right? So basically, I would suggest you to have only 1 or 2 action plans for your next lesson, so you're pretty sure that you are going to work on them.
So we improve step by step. Yeah, just the necessary, right? Not everything that we think.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So in each stage, do you have some recommendations for us as teachers before we dive into the DIGPA cycle?
Sure, we have here for you different important aspects to consider before you go to the DIGPA cycle. So it's important to remember that DIGPA is a reflective tool. It doesn't matter if it is for a positive or negative moment.
It helps you to create action plans for future classes or lessons.
It's a guide to think about on a specific part of a lesson plan. So it is not to think about the complete lesson plan, but only a specific activity or moment.
Also, this process can happen individually or in group. This is something you can do by your own, yourself, sitting down and writing and doing your reflection. But also, if you have someone else that observes your class, you can have him or her with you, so you can have your reflection time too.
And the sooner, the better.
So we recommend you to write this DIGPA cycle as soon as you can after you taught the class. So we understand that sometimes we have, as teachers, we have different classes, but please try to write your DIGPA cycle as soon as possible. Do not leave it like, oh, today I taught the class and I will leave it until the weekend, right, when I have time. No, like, let's take around 5 minutes or 10 to write your DIGPA cycle, and that will help you.
Awesome. Very useful recommendations. These are not rules, right? These are just recommendations. And just like the last questions that we share in each stage, those are not rules that we have to follow. We have to ask those questions. Those are questions that can help us. The same way with these recommendations, they are here to help us. These are not rules that we have to follow, but thank you so much. These are very useful. I hope that you teachers are writing them down, because these are going to be very useful. And useful too is the example that we are about to see. So do you have an example for us?
Yes, we do have an example of an activity. So we encourage you to watch this example. And after that, we have another activity.
You're going to use this, drink or eat, and you're going to add, in this space, you're going to add the name of the food. So for example, do you like to drink coffee?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So we're going to use your question. Yes, I do. No. No, I don't. No, I don't. Just like that. So Gabby and Minor, stand up and go later. And Jordan and Celeste, so when you finish, you are telling you 1 minute, no, maybe 30 seconds. So you ask
like meat? Yes, I do. Good. Do you like eat sausages? Yes. Sausage. Okay. Do you like to eat fish? Do you like? Yes, I do. Do you like to eat?
Stop. Exchange papers. All of the papers. Give it to the other person. Go. Jordan and Gary and Celeste and May. You have 30 seconds and you continue. Go. Go, go, go.
Do you like to eat and drink? Yes? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Do you like to drink chocolate?
All right. Hot chocolate? Yes, I do. Do you like to be meat to eat things?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Do you like to wear cakes? Do you like to eat cake?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you like meat?
Hey, stop. Exchange papers. Exchange papers with the partner. Celeste and Gary, you're gonna. So you continue. 30 seconds.
Do you like to eat vegetables? Yes, I do. Do you like to eat sausage? Yes, I do.
Do you like to
Do you like eat rice? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Do you like eat
Do you
eggs?
like
Yes, I do.
eat meat?
Do you like to eat?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I
Do
do.
you like to
Do you like?
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing about that beautiful experience. So we can have a DIGPA example with that, right?
For sure, we will do a DIGPA cycle. Well, Sarah will give us this example. So let's see.
Okay, good. So right now we are going to go through the cycle, and we're going to start with the describe part.
Sure. So, Sarah, in this activity, maybe there were different moments. Would you like to share with us one? Like, can you choose only one moment from this activity to do your DIGPA cycle?
Sure. Yes. I can see the one part. I think through the activity, basically it was only one activity, but through the activity I have many moments. And I will select the part where I started my activity with my instructions.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So now let's begin with the description. So remember in this part, can you tell me like what happened? What did the students do? How many or how long was it? And what materials were there? How were students arranged and what else was happening in the environment or situation?
So as I told you, I will focus on my instructions at the beginning of my activity. So I have my description here. So I was given the instructions for the activity. I told them to use pictures they have to ask and answer. I already gave them before the pictures of these food. And so they have to ask and answer questions using do you like, and they have to ask the name of this food that they already have. I gave an example, and right after that, I told them that they have once they finish, they have to exchange papers with the pair they were just finished, and then they have to move and go with another person. And also, they have to use short answers when they were asking each other. I put them in pairs. I told them to start. Once they were in the activity, I had to tell them again that they have to exchange papers. And they finished the activity asking, and so then when they finished, they had to exchange papers, but they were about to move, and I had to tell them to exchange papers so that they can move. So basically, that's the part I will focus on.
Okay, thank you. And now, why do you think, or what might that have happened, and what are other possible reasons that happened?
Okay, good. So my interpretation based on the description I gave is that this happened because I gave them too many instructions at once, and I did not check if they knew what they have to do, and I just told them to go right away to the activity after I gave them.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Now, how do you think this help or hinder students' learning in general? Also, based on this experience, what theories about learning can you take, or what do you believe about?
Well, I believe giving a long set of instructions at once hinders students' learning because they may forget, as you could observe in the activity, they forgot they have to change papers, right? So I have to tell them again. or they will just keep in mind some of the instructions and they will not do completely the activity or the task I asked. And I also believe that asking comprehension questions and give them by pieces instructions will help them so they don't confuse or forget something that is important in the activity they have.
Okay, thank you. Now, based on the description, interpretation, and generalization you just did, what are your action plans, or what will you do differently if you were to do this lesson again? Or if you, in the next lessons or the times that you're giving instructions, what will you do differently, or what will you do the same?
Okay, well, based on what I just described, interpret and generalize about my activity, I think that for my next lesson, I will write my instruction down step by step. So when I deliver them, I will do it that by parts. As I write them down, I will give them by parts to my students. And something to take into consideration is that once they finish to do the first part of the activity, I just let them do the first activity and or the first part of the instructions, and then I'll go for the next. So and so on. I continue giving my instructions. If it's a long set of instructions, I'll do it like that.
Okay, thank you. So we just finished with this example of the DIGPA cycle, Danny.
Thank you, Sarah and Elizabeth, for that amazing explanation of how to do a DIGPA cycle. I think it's very clear how you describe what happened. Well, you describe one specific moment of the class, then you gave your own interpretation, then you generalize it, and you have some action plans for your next class. Thank you. This happened with two people, but you teachers, if you don't have someone to help you with the questions, you can use this handout, this document that you will have in the platform, in the material section, for you to read the questions and come up with your own tip. Thank you, trainers. Now let's go to another section. Let's share some experience and advice for the teachers.
Okay, so now we will share with you some of the experiences. Like based on my experience, tell you that using DIGPA is a great tool, and it helped you to improve your classes and to improve your lessons. I remember once I gave a class and I was not good with the classroom management, and I tried to talk and to raise my voice, but I couldn't, and my students didn't pay attention. And after that, I learned how to apply DIGPA, and I did it the first, and I apply my action plans, and this helps me to improve my classes, to do the things better, right? Sometimes we think that we're doing the things in a good way, but we need to reflect, we need to think about it and start thinking how can we do it better. And if we are doing something good, we can keep it, and it helped me. It has helped me a lot, and I recommend you to use it. Sometimes we know that as teachers we do not have a lot of time, but I recommend you to do it. It's very important, and it will help you to improve and to learn more about you.
That's right. Thank you, Lisa. And Sarah, do you have some experience or advice to share with us?
Well, my experience with DIGPA is very, I would say negative, but I think for me it was really difficult to start using it because as I was not used to use this tool. I usually forget or forgot at that time that I had to to put it into practice my action plan. I would do my cycle and everything, but somehow I would forget my action plans, and probably when I plan, I have them right next to me, or I remember, but in the class when I was delivering my lesson, I usually forget. But I think practicing it and probably having it next to you, because once you have your action plans and everything and you plan based on that, and having it next to your objective or probably next to your plan or something, it helps you to remember, because that was happening with me. But at the end, it becomes like part of you. It's like automatically, once you start practicing DIGPA, once you start doing it, your action plans, once you start doing all of this, then it becomes like natural from you to remember and to have it there with you. And then you practice it better. At the beginning, it was hard for me to do it because I passed like probably like months to start using it in a correct way and using my action plans. And I used to say, why it didn't work? Why this happened? And blah, 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 right? But I think it's part of that. part that you don't put in practice and you don't have in mind, or you don't even remember about your action plans. So having it there will help you a lot. As I told you, it becomes then after part of you doing this cycle. And of course, it will take less time because you will get used to do this every time you need it for your lesson.
Thank you. Nothing more to say. You said it all, and practice makes perfect. Teachers, after this, what's next? So now, teachers, remember that after watching this virtual session, you have to go and do the quiz. When you finish that, you will be able to do the post forum. Then you will have access to the materials of the course, and at the end, you will be able to do your assignment. If you finish all of this and you get a score higher than 61%, you'll be able to download your own certificate of the course in this section. And then you have completed successfully the course. Optionally, if you want, you can leave your comments here and give feedback of this course in this section. This is totally optional, but that will help us to improve these courses. And we will finish with a beautiful quote.
Yes, we have this quote, and it is very accurate. It matches with the topic. So the more reflective you are, the more effective you are. So it's very important for you to take your time and reflect about your lessons.
Thank you so much, trainers. Thank you so much, teachers, for watching us, and see you in the next one.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Elizabeth. Bye, Sarah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.